Netflix is worried more about Fortnite, believe it or not, than HBO and Disney. To Fresco News founder John Meyer. John, why is that? Why is Fortnite a bigger threat to them than some of these others?
Fortnite's a bigger threat to Netflix because Netflix has, really just the most compelling product on the market right now for streaming. And so the only thing that can come second to Netflix are other products that are taking away users' attention, especially young people, such as millennials, teenagers, etc., who at this point are completely glued to Netflix.
What is it with Fortnite that has it's withstood the world 15 minutes of fame, right? And I'm wondering how that happened and how much longer it can continue to happen.
Yeah, I think the statement by the CEO of Netflix is probably a bit of a comical half-joke statement. I think what he's trying to say is that Netflix is just so far superior as far as product goes, at least right now, and original content goes, that it's not going to be another media company that is doing content such as Netflix that poses a threat, at least in their opinion right now. However, the thing that I'd say if there's one thing I'm concerned about right now with Netflix, it'll just be the unknowns around what Apple is going to release, because other than that, I remain very, very bullish on Netflix, especially because of the fact that while 10% is a big number when you look at the just how big of a market share they have of U.S. viewing hours, I think there's a lot more for them to grab for themselves over the next few years, again, especially as they continue to invest in original content, which in my opinion is the thing that Netflix is making a very strong stake in the ground for as a strength.
I noticed that they obviously are committed to buying still more content, paying a lot for that, but you have to get a return on that, right? I mean, it's obvious, look at the stock, that investors, the last day or two notwithstanding, are convinced their strategy is a good one. Many have likened it to Amazon in the early days of building up the infrastructure to provide this retail behemoth. I don't know if that applies here, but the investors are confident the strategy of buying a lot of content that makes it second to none for streaming and getting all of that is going to justify all this. Do you think that's right? In other words, you can pick up lousy content, right? You can pick up lousy shows that you're doing on your own, and they don't register with the public.
Correct. Absolutely, you're completely right, and I think what is making a bit of a difference for Netflix, in fact, a pretty significant difference, is the fact that Netflix has, over the last decade, they've perfected this model of coming out with not just content, but content that fundamentally causes, I'd say, waves in social circles, friends, family, etc. And you see this originally with House of Cards. You saw this with Stranger Things. It's now clearly a repeatable model for them, where it's not just content that they're releasing. They continue to release content that fundamentally causes almost these social revolutions around their product, which is incredible, especially considering that, in my opinion, as I talked on this network a few days ago, there's still lots more growth for Netflix, especially as more consumers get even more time on their hands to watch content from other interesting, advances in tech, such as the fact that, in the next few years, we'll be using Netflix even more as we roll out into more self-driving car use, and we have to find a way to pass time in these cars. So I think just Netflix has a monumental head start on this. I compare this to, Blockbuster, way back when, and how late to the game they were.
Right.
And I think that could be the same with some of the competitors. I think the big unknown right now is Apple.
When you say the big unknown is Apple, whether it gets into that content business, right, either buys content or starts making its own.
Well, thank you for asking me to clarify. I think what I'm referring to on Apple's front is they've already put in a massive amount of money into starting a content machine. The thing that I'm questioning is whether or not Apple is going to know what they're doing as far as marketing this content and creating the similar social revolutions around the shows that Netflix has been so great with. And there's a part of me that looks at Apple's track record of some of their tests in original content, as well as some of their tests in creating social revolutions of sorts. If you recall, Apple had a pretty big flop when they tried to create a social network around music,
right.
and then lost a lot of their market share to Spotify because they were too late to the streaming game for music. And so this is a big point for Apple. Big point for Netflix over the next few months as we see what Apple's going to release, because it's either going to be something that, in my opinion, will be almost a dead-on-arrival flop within the first 6 months of Apple releasing this, or if they could capture some of the attention from consumers in a way that Netflix does, where you're creating, again, these social revolutions around these shows like Stranger Things. And you know, there's now, I mean, you can count, the list is increasing on the number of shows where you walk on a sidewalk, on a subway, in your grocery store, and people are talking about these Netflix originals.
Oh, no, you're
because
right.
they've figured out this model behind how do we not just create great content that people want to watch, but how do we create content that is so compelling that our marketing is done for us as Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I see they've done.
That special. I mean, people are running around in blindfolds. It's seeped into our culture. No?
Correct. And I think they are incredibly in touch with millennials and the younger generations, which is something that I also worry about the newer entrants with Disney, because you see this even in politics, where you have some Democratic politicians trying to be on Instagram, and they're just dead on arrival because they're so out of touch with the way millennials like to interact with this kind of communication. And Netflix does that well. We haven't seen if any of these competitors are going to do that yet. And because of that, I remain very bullish on Netflix over the next few years.
That's interesting. You know your stuff, John. I appreciate also just stepping back from
Thank you.
The intricacies that Wall Street considers itself, whether looking at the big picture. We'll see. John, thank you very much.
Thank you.